string band music player from Carrico. I support the games of the National Lottery Authority because culture benefits tremendously. Annually, the NLA supports the Carrico and Petit Matinee Carnival, the Carrico String Band Music Festival, and all regattas, among other activities. When I play the game of the NLA, I can see where my money goes, and it's an investment into our culture.
Yes, Grenada, when you play the games of the NLA, you enable us to invest in the skills and talents of our people in the areas of sports, culture, and nation building.
Good evening and welcome to another MTV Community Forum. I'm your host Byron Ken, and of course Chris Diali is here. Chris is here. Chris.
Good evening, Byron.
Good evening.
It's good to see you well and smiling and so on. I know you had a challenge last weekend, but we carried on in your stead. Good evening, listeners and viewers, and welcome to another issue of Community Forum.
Chris, it's always good to be here. A lot's happening, Chris. We have a lot to talk about, first of all, and I want to tell our viewers that we have, how should I describe this guy that's joining us? How would you describe him?
Talented Robert White.
Talented
You
Robert
can never
White.
be in his
That's
company
fine,
and not
yeah.
laugh.
Is he a comedian, a politician, or a playwright? What is he exactly?
All of the
An
above.
insurance
An
broker?
actor.
What? Actor?
He's a comedian,
All those things.
he's an announcer, if you go to tents and so on, you hear Robert and
We
so
really
on.
want to get tonight at what's driving him.
Yeah.
Why has he chosen politics over comedy? You know, but we'll get to that. Chris, a lot's been happening. One of the big things coming out, of course, in the last few days is CARICOM heads a government meeting in St. Lucia. A new chairman there, the Prime Minister, Philip Pierre. But interesting, there was a major issue they're dealing with the Secretary General and her appointment. What's interesting that CARICOM took a decision to pass this on because Guyana, but more so Trinidad Prime Minister, she raised objections to the process of her reappointment as Secretary General for another term, 4 to 5 years. But what they've done, interesting, they've passed the matter on to the CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice, to give an opinion. So they're playing this out in public, but I wonder, what is the state of mind of the Secretary General, given that you're running a regional, international institution, and all of this is playing out in real time reappointment?
Well, Trinidad wrote a 22-page document to object to the process. And when you listen to the other CARICOM prime ministers, Trinidad was invited to the meeting, which I did not attend, which would have addressed...
Thousands and Kitts.
Yes, which would have addressed some of the issues they're probably raising. So Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar have raised this with, of course, great objection in this 22-page document. And CARICOM felt the best way to step away from this to some degree is that the CCJ rule on it. And the ruling is not whether she should be appointed as Secretary General, but whether or not the process was followed as it ought to. So, I understand they taking the concept of using a third party to adjudicate on this issue or to come to a decision, but what I find is really disappointing is the fact that as a CARICOM, we couldn't solve this issue internally and put it out in the public, where it speaks to our unity as a region and how we handle issues that can affect how we proceed and how we posture.
We've now set a precedent of how CARICOM handles constitutional dispute, both internally and maybe politically.
And you don't know if under the Treaty of Chaguaramas, how it fits there, because that's what the CCJ rules on, the Treaty of Chaguaramas, within the appellate division and otherwise.
Chris, other important thing coming out of course, the food security, a big part of the agenda. They had this 25 2025, and what that meant was by 2025, food security bill would have reduced regionally by 25%. That hasn't happened. What we've seen is it continues to climb. So where's it going? You know, but interesting, Guyana is making some inroads there. In fact, just tonight, Guyana, on the news, Guyana, the Minister of Agriculture there, we had a number of Grenadians graduating there, I think 3 or 4, and this agricultural school wants to be a major player as far as education and agricultural development regionally. But Guyana has great possibilities.
Well, you know, we have always been saying Guyana have great possibilities in everything.
Yeah.
That is nothing new.
Yeah.
I think the issue is transport.
Transport.
Right? We can't get transport.
But that
in the
came up
region.
in the conference
But
also.
well, I'll come into that. The fact is that we have not been able as a region to sit down and work out a transport mechanism.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Miyamoto mentioned it, that they're trying to get a service, boat service from Guyana to the CARICOM countries to bring both people and goods.
Yeah.
Now, if that could materialize, then we would have solved the problem, which is a real problem for us.
Yeah.
How do we get goods from Guyana to this region and vice versa if we have to sell goods to Guyana as well? And the movement of people. So the potential, and I said it in one of our programs, why can't we as a CARICOM region sit down with Guyana, who has the greatest GDP growth in the world and here now, and try and work out something like a Mauritania. Right, so a Mauritania flies from Guyana with produce for the islands. We put our orders through because Guyana has no issue producing whether it's pineapple to pepper.
Whatever.
Right, so the issue here is transport. So if we could transport it, and Mauritania might be a lot more costly than using boats.
Yeah.
But if we use the fast boats that they have, you know, the catamarans that do CARICOM and so on, then, you know.
On the matter of boat transport, ferry transport, transport for cargo, Dr. Patrick Antoine was on because he is the CPS, private sector regional representative, and he says it's good work, but part of the problem is that each island has its own separate legislation. People, when ferries are moving, they don't want to spend 2 hours or 3 hours or this length of time in the port. It's like stop and move. But if people are stranded, if people have to go through this immigration process, and it's not going to work. So individual islands must first deal with these matters so it becomes seamless.
That's why I say sometimes CARICOM is a talk shop.
Yeah.
We've been discussing the free movement of people and the transport issue with the VIAT and all of that for 40 plus years. And we can't come up as a region with different prime ministers because everybody has some political issue to grind. So unless we get past that and past the individualism of islands and the politics of islands, look at free movement of people. Why is it moving people? Grenada have one of the biggest problems, which is labor.
I heard it's now on the agenda again, that Grenada has submitted its 2 or 3 other islands to make it happen.
We have labor crisis in construction, we have it in agriculture, and even in retail trade.
Everywhere.
Right, in restaurants and so on. And we have Venezuelans want to move, Cubans want to move, Haitians want to move, and well, I hear we have 40 Haitians in St. Andrews on a project, but we deny other people. So we're not serious when it comes to the movement of people and solving the problems of this region, because we put in these things on paper and discussing it, but nothing happens. Same thing with transport.
Chris, a big issue is our investment, our citizen by investment program. It's a big issue now, Chris, and I would say that what's happened recently is that the European Union Commission put us, Grenada included, in other words, the OECS territories that operates this program, on notice to phase out our program. In other words, in the end of 2 years, it must not exist. If it continues, they will not, any movement through their territory will require visa. So what is that saying? Is our program now in jeopardy?
I don't think so.
So what's going to save it, Chris?
Well, you know, weaponizing your visas from countries from the European Union to come. European Union have never treated us with any sort of, look at the banana situation.
True.
Right, so they're not really our friends in teaching us how to fish versus giving us fish.
True.
And CBI is looked at as a program like that. We're trying to generate through CBI funding that is critical for supporting of our budget and other things. And look at what Spain did today. Spain did not implement visas for countries of the OECS and wider CARICOM. There are a few countries, I think Suriname, Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad, and Jamaica, that may still require visas. But all of us are visa-free. And you can go in even though for 90 days and you don't need a visa for anything. If you go past 180 days, you might require some special permission.
Chris, if I require a visa now to go to the United States, it can cost me $15,000.
Right.
So I can't go because I can't afford this. So that's okay? And the CBI program is responsible for this. What else is?
No.
What is responsible for this major visa restriction?
As the geopolitics change and our foreign policy changes, we may not be in bed with the U.S. as before because we go into Africa for friends, looking at South-South relationship with Latin America.
Is that why we abstain from supporting Cuba at the United Nations?
No, that's a different issue. Let's deal with the issue of CBI. We're on CBI.
But it's related to the kind of political pressure.
No, right. So these countries will use what they have to do that. We have to find a way smartly enough to deal with it, and I think we are. Trinidad now offers have flights to go to Panama and go to Latin America and South America without having to go through Miami. We have direct flights going from Trinidad to Africa. We don't have to go through Miami. So we are finding ways around the U.S. and what they're doing so that countries like us could continue to survive. And as Dr. Antoine had said in the CPSO brief, this is about survival and being able to function as a sovereign state.
Why Barbados, for example? A stateswoman as Mia Mottley, highly respected, chooses not to introduce such a program in Barbados.
Well, Mia Mottley has other means of getting revenue.
So we should start considering other lines of revenue.
Like what?
Because how sustainable is this program?
It has been going on for quite a number of years.
Citizens.
Yeah,
that's not the end of it.
You feel so. I don't feel so. I always say to you that you can't tell high net worth people where to put their money.
True.
And they will put their money where they want, regardless of what they're saying in Europe. And the Europeans are only complaining. They started off saying that none of us have the requisite security measures. We need to have a full security check on the applicants. And then they move from that. And they start saying, well, no, if citizens would, unless CBI get a passport and they come to our country in Europe, they pose a threat to us in Europe. But that's your responsibility to check and see who's coming and what is going on. So they keep shifting the goalposts.
We will continue this conversation, Chris.
Of course, that's fine.
Chris, the state of our infrastructure, our roads, and that includes the repairs, the renovations we're seeing right now, the NAWASA, how they are repairing the roads, broken pipes. What's your take on this? Is it?
Well, it's not satisfactory. I'll give you two examples. Marian is a good example. Pipes in Marian Road has been laid and finished for quite a while. I don't know if they have pressure tested it, and that is an issue. But if that is an issue, you need to pressure test and repair the road. It has been too long outstanding in disrepair. You could say the same thing with Granans. There are some parts in Granans that the road is still not properly repaired. And Granans pipes have been laid quite a while. The other complication, and then you see what's happening in Bodo and now the Carenage. Major thoroughfares of the country. We're completing the lane of the works, but the repairs to the road has been long outstanding, and the excuse is pressure testing. Well, that is the excuse. Let us pressure test and connect what we have to do and get the repairs done. I mean, I could complain where I live in Fort Judy. All the pipes in Fort Judy have been changed and laid, and up to now they're not connected. We've been checking the pressures a whole month, maybe 6 months now, and we can't get the thing to be. What I'm saying here is that we're not getting completion of some of the pipe works that have been done in terms of connecting and putting them online. And as a result, the road and the sides of the road just staying in disrepair. And I mean, we into what? We're into July, 7 months into this year.
All of this comes under the Ministry of Works, Ministry of Infrastructure, Chris. But one of the things I've been saying, and due respect to our Prime Minister, he's hardworking, and he has major portfolio because he has security, he's the leader of the party, he's the leader of government, security, public utilities, infrastructure or works is a major portfolio by itself. And so if this is aligned to the Prime Minister, I can understand the difficulties there, you know.
Let me ask
For
you a
me,
question.
it requires more focus.
When you have all these portfolios, you get paid separately for each
I don't
one?
think so, Chris.
Because each minister in a separate, with a separate portfolio get
Well, the
paid
question is, who does it pass? Who would he pass it on to? But clearly, there's there's a lot happening. As we hear outside, things are happening.
This
but it
government
seems,
has come up
but-
with
but
a
it
new
seems-
philosophy of giving one person plenty ministries. And
Yeah, so that's not-
you have to ask your question whether they could be effective
Yeah.
or whether it's the PSs that is running it. That's a different philosophy from governments before. You may
Yeah.
have a higher cabinet
but
ratio.
but they're all good initiatives, but it seems not to
What's
be.
the good initiatives?
Well, the road repairs and the plane of pipes, and these are good things. These are important infrastructures that are going down.
Yes, I'm not saying no,
Yeah.
but we in July, this project was supposed to complete in the first quarter of this year. Road reinstatement, completion of the pipe works, and all of that. The other part of the GCF project in building the huge tanks for storage,
Yeah.
those have been all completed with the exception of probably roads to get to them and so on. So what is happening with the road?
So we want a report. We want some.
We don't get anything.
You're not going to get anything. Chris, World Cup is on, you know, Chris. We had a semi-final today, England versus Argentina. Good game. I think England fell
I
apart.
support England.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm happy to see Argentina in the finals
Yeah.
as the defending champions,
Okay.
world champions.
Okay.
And they're coming up against Spain, so that should be a really,
A really
interesting
good game,
match.
I think so. yeah.
And of course, the third place playoff is between
Yeah.
France and England. It should be a good match as well.
Right.
Right,
Chris,
so-
Spice Mass, I mean, we saw the launching of Jab Jab in
Athlete?
Sparklet,
I don't know.
St. Andrews, but we heard there were some stabbings there, and it didn't go down very well, you know.
Yeah, well,
that's not a good showing for
We
season.
mentioned already on the program the violence at Kuri up in Carnival, and the
Yeah.
police have been doing outstanding jobs in
Yeah.
stopping vehicles,
Yeah.
checking for weapons, and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. So let us hope that these things are just
Yeah.
a minor hitch in the road,
Yeah, yeah.
and that they could really get a grapple on the things, because
Yeah.
it wouldn't be good to
Yeah.
we advertise our carnival as one of the safest in the regions.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure we keep that up and going.
Chris, the war hasn't ended. I mean,
Yeah.
all week the fight is going on. Trump, you know,
Well,
attacked
Trump
Strait-
escalated his things
Strait
today.
at Hormuz is continuing to
He reinstated the blockade on every port in Iran.
yeah.
He told Iran that if they don't come to the table by next week, he's bombing all their bridges and all their power plants and so on. So he has taken the thing to another level, or taken it to another level.
And affecting the oil of energy, the price of energy in the
but,
meantime.
well, you know,
you
Trump don't care as far as he's concerned.
That's responsible for a high energy bill here, Chris.
Remember, you know, Iran didn't juke this war, you know,
Israel and
right?
others.
It's Israel that pushed Trump today, and
Yeah,
Iran
yeah.
was a sovereign state sitting nicely by, going about their business, and this man just decided to wage a war against them and start bombing them. I mean, come on.
I don't know, Chris.
Yeah,
Chris, I see that Trinidad have signed some agreements with U.S. companies to set up data centers. U.S. deals, they call it, but it's creating a bit of a controversy in Trinidad itself, debate there, given the high energy and water usage of these huge centers, you know. So you may think that a lot of U.S. communities are resisting the
centers.
establishment of these centers because of these issues in their communities.
Well, the thing
So
with-
should we be accepting them? Is it good
no,
for
no,
us?
we are the kind of water that they need. Guyana has gone ahead because Guyana have abundance of water
And energy.
and energy, but
Yeah.
water primarily.
Water
Because
energy,
these
yeah.
servers need
Yeah.
to be cooled,
Yeah.
and they require fresh water. They
Yeah.
can't use salt water.
Right.
So it is a big thing for these companies in the U.S. to get proper land, and they occupy quite a number of acreage as well,
Yeah.
and security and all of that and so on. So islands like countries like Guyana could support it, but I'm not sure Trinidad in the
Trinidad.
same boat,
This-
because Trinidad has struggled with fresh water as well.
They signed the deal.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
good to see what is happening. But before we move up that, I wanted to
Go.
quickly talk about the oil and Venezuela, as you mentioned Venezuela,
Yeah.
because it's now being understood that Grenada's have the potential to commercially exploit natural gas and oil, or more so natural gas. In our blocks, there apparently is more than 1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas to be commercially dealt with and mined and so on. But, you know, last government, this government, for you to get anything out of them regarding oil and gas, is like, boy, you have to go to line up a man to shoot him for him to talk. Because there's no information. You have to hear this from other people like GPG, who have a block, they own the block, and they have drill wells. They've been asking for permission to drill more wells, and the government ain't taking them on, because, you know, there's alleged that Keith Mitchell and Bowen have a share in GPG through a third company and all of that.
Yes.
But that is besides the point. The point is, if we have reserves that could be commercially exploited to our benefit, why not? Of course, we'll have to meet with Venezuela, and, you know, I'm really concerned now that when the Venezuelan acting president came here, we never knew why
the reason
and what was the result. But I believe it was to talk about the renegotiation of the boundary delimitations with Grenada and Venezuela, because there's a huge deposit of natural gas, hydrocarbons in that area.
Keep my fingers crossed.
Right, so again, it's like pulling teeth to get any information.
But we have information, but we have there's a committee, there's a chairman, Nazem Burke, and my information.
When last year, hear from Nazem Burke?
I don't know. So
the last thing we know is the Prime Minister went to Suriname in a meeting that they had there, and say we open for business. That was the last thing that came out, and we hear nothing apart from that. So I just say.
So elections coming, so maybe they're waiting to make a big announcement. Just have patience. Anything else, Chris, before we break and to invite our learned guest here?
Well, next week we will talk about Polaris and the spending Polaris versus, you know, if we spend 22 million in Polaris. Could we have used that money differently to help with the roads we have?
But we don't know what it was used for.
Well, that's why I say, so probably we could look at that.
So you see again reports, and it's interesting before we go, Chris, that one of the newspapers was writing on the weekend saying that we hear there's a lot of talk about new manifesto and new plans, but we need a report on the existing plans. How well it have done? What were the deliverables? What was the accomplishment? What was the outcomes? You know.
Remember, now manifestos are being negotiated with the people.
With the people,
to help. Nothing wrong with that. I think it could be a bottoms-up approach.
But it's a party manifesto.
That's the point.
It's not a people's manifesto.
Exactly. I don't think other people apart from the NDC faithfuls will go to that.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, they would like it, but you have to wonder. I mean, town halls is being done by the NNP now. So that will inform some of the strategies and so on going forward.
And that's okay.
And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I think, you know, hard questions doesn't come out of these.
But don't call it a people's manifesto or a national manifesto. This is a party manifesto. It's very clear. Viewers, stay with us. We'll be right back with Robert White, the politician. Stay with us.
Laboratories, providing quality care and expertise. Fit for life and allied laboratories. See our in-house doctors and our pharmacies. Get expert care and quality tests. When it comes to your health, you deserve the best. Fit for life and allied laboratories. We're taking care of Grenada.
In Grenada, sports aren't just a game, they're a way of life. They teach discipline, teamwork, and resilience. They inspire the next generation to push boundaries and chase excellence. That's why the Investment Migration Agency of Grenada is proud to support sports initiatives as part of our commitment to youth and national development. When we invest in sports programs, we invest in the future. We invest in the health and well-being of our youth, and we invest in broadening Grenada's reach, proudly connecting our athletes, our talent, and our nation to a global community. Together, we all go further. The Investment Migration Agency. Unlock the possibilities.
Parents, do you go to bed with the knowledge that your children are comfortably asleep in the next room? Or are they allowed to attend every FET advertised? You are responsible for the safety and well-being of your children, and it is your responsibility to know their whereabouts. Children should not be at adult events. Please guide your children, engage them in age-appropriate activities. Let us be spicy parents for this carnival season and beyond. S. Speak to your children about positive behavior. P. Pay attention to them at all times. I. Inspire good behavior in your children by also displaying good behavior. C. Check with your children. Always know their whereabouts. Y. You are responsible for your children. Maintain control to keep them safe. This is a message from the National Parenting Program, Ministry of Social and Community Development, Housing and Gender Affairs.
Grenada, are you ready for the most epic cool down after Spice Mass? Because on Wednesday, August 12th, the Grenada National Cricket Stadium becomes the home of one massive soca experience. Carnival Encore, Sunset Over White.
Are you ready?
Featuring not one, but two international soca giants, Marshall Montano and the Monk Band. Yes, the band. And they'll be joined by some of Grenada's biggest soca superstars for one unforgettable night of music, vibes, and pure island energy. This is the event that keeps the carnival spirit alive. The final celebration. The Encore. You don't want to miss. General admission and VIP early bird tickets are sold out online. General admission $150, VIP $550. Get your tickets now at GoToFed.com and the official Sunshine Promotions outlets. Carnival Encore 2026. Sunset Over White, Wednesday, August 12th at the National Cricket Stadium. When the road ends, this is the Encore.
Welcome back, viewers, to MTV Community Forum. Our guest this evening, special guest this evening, is Robert White. Robert is a resident of St. Patrick's. He's a well-known veteran of the financial services industry. He spent over 36 years as an insurance salesperson in the industry. He's also well known nationally for his contribution to the performing arts and as an actor, MC, and of course a comedian. Recently, he joined the ranks of the NNP and has been named candidate for St. Patrick's East constituency. Welcome, Robert. Can I call you that, or Mr. Yes. White?
No, I prefer you call me Robert.
Robert, okay, welcome.
Mr. White is my father, and he is no longer here.
Let me start by saying, Robert, some people say politicians promise everything before elections. As a comedian, how do you know when an audience is laughing with you and when voters are laughing at politicians?
It's about connecting with the people. You must, if you do not know your audience, be you comedian or politician, if you don't know your audience and don't read your audience well, you could get laughed at.
I would just say,
for example, a comedian may come on stage and you very quickly have to determine, are these people intellectuals, are these people who just who drink a set of rum before they come, do you have children in the audience, could joke A that you did last week in another venue, sell here. So if you do not know how to access that very quickly, you could get into trouble on stage. I realize politics is no different.
I would just say, people say politics is no laughing matter. Yet here you are, a comedian entering politics. I will stop there, but tell us, why politics and why now? Why now?
My father said to me one time, after many, many years of trying to get me involved in politics, and I in some ways thought he wanted a continuation of his legacy, and he felt, okay, first son, all right, I want you to carry the mantle. And I don't think that I had an obligation to do exactly what he wanted as far as his legacy is concerned. I felt I'm Robert White, I wasn't Winston White, so I don't necessarily have to do everything Winston did. He said to me something one day that I'll never forget because it rings so true now. He said to me, my son, one day the politics will find you. And it has. Because if you had said to me, Byron, a year from now or a year ago, I'll be representing any political party, irrespective of the fact that I'm aligned to NNP. But I'll be representing any political party and offered myself up for candidacy. I'll laugh you to pieces. So here am I.
Right. So we know you. We know you. Yeah. You as a salesman, as an insurance broker, as a comedian, as an actor. But what qualities do you possess that voters have yet not seen, that we don't know about?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, I know how to listen. I've been listening to people for the last 36 years. I know to read an audience. I know to read a face, to know whether you're bamboozling me or you're actually being honest. Right? I understand people's needs because I've had to assess people's needs over the years. And not just insurance needs, although primarily it has been as an insurance salesman, you're assessing people's needs. But the key is that you had to understand people. And to me, politics is no different. Now, there are certain other prerequisites and certain other commitments that come with politics. But first, you have to understand people. Now, you need to be technically sound as well. Not just understanding people, but you need to be technically sound in terms of how you can deliver what makes them, or what makes them tick, what they're entitled, or what they're looking for. And I have too had my stint in management with my insurance company that I represented. And so I know how to lead. I have had leadership roles in the Rotary. I've been president of a theater company that I've been with the last 36 years. I've been president of the Life Underwriters Association. So I understand leadership and I understand people. And I keep coming back to the fact that politics is about people.
Many politicians, of course, take themselves very seriously, but you believe that politics need more humility and humor?
Yes. Right? Because, put it this way, Chuck does say this succinctly. To survive, you have to learn to laugh. Of course, you can't laugh your way out of the bank, you can't laugh your way out of a problem. But sometimes just to be able to stay sane, you have to know how to laugh at yourself and laugh in this circumstance, because it helps you to ground. And it sometimes helps you to a platform from which you can now assess how things going and work to suit. But put it this way, Byron, there's none so great that you know everything. There's none so smart that you can do everything. So one needs to be humble. Even when you excel in leadership, even when you excel in terms of certification, if you're still not humble, you can miss the point.
Is politics sometimes nothing more than theater? But let's say if it is so, how do you convince voters you're offering substance rather than just another performance, Robert?
I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes when I'm on stage, I feel like performing too.
Prime Minister in Trinidad, what was his name? Pandy, yeah. Pandy had a degree in theater.
Yes.
And you always say when you're on the pulpit and so on, you have to be theatrical.
You see, the ability to communicate,
yeah.
And sometimes the theater helps.
Yeah.
The theatrics help. It helps in law. You see it in the courtroom, right? It helps in theater itself. You reach the people, you carry a message, and of course.
But this won't be another performance.
No. Not just a theatrical performance, but one that if theater helps, it will be added. Parliament needs a little something every now and again. Listen, my father told me of days when people would want to tune in to hear a parliamentary debate. Because the language, the color, descriptions, right? And the fellas would go at each other, but it never felt that it was personal. but they use the language to their advantage. You know, there was a guy named Mr. Green. I can't remember what Green, but his surname was Green.
Yeah.
And CPO dropped a line on him one time in Parliament. Look at him there, he's even green with envy. Right? You know, that kind of thing is missing from our politics. And sometimes when you hear the debate in Parliament, you find it gets too personal and people too thin-skinned, and they get almost very quickly, they get overheated, and you lose the beauty of it. Well, I hope I could add some color, not just white, not just green, but I hope I could add some color.
But do you believe that sometimes people may think, in touching base with the people and their needs, and I use needs particularly instead of wants, because over the years, our politicians have this day in the week when the constituents must come to them to help them out, whether it's financially, buy a tank of gas or whatever, and then it becomes wants more than needs. Do you believe that your representation is going to help in terms of how we re-educate our people from the tribalism, and to understand that when I'm coming to you, or when you come to me, is for us to try and resolve problems more so than a particular issue of a want?
And that too is the kind of representation that I intend to bring, right? Because already I see that the dependency syndrome is very easy, right? Or in some ways permeates a society, or has permeated the society. So to the extent that people sometimes feel that every time they see the politician, they must get something, right? So they must get a drink, right? Or must get a 20, or must always get something. And there's nothing wrong in giving, to my mind, if the need is urgent and if it is genuine. But I don't know that every time they see the politician, they should feel obligated to get something. And sometimes it's simply because they can do better, you know. I've been to homes, and interestingly, I never knew that side of Grenada. And I openly admit this. I just never knew the side of Grenada, some of the poverty that exists. You know why? Because some of the homes that I'm visiting now, I would not have gone as an insurance agent. Because you don't waste time with people who will not be able to buy from you, because your time, you make a living from selling. So if you just talking to people and just, sympathize,
you have to target
you have to target the audience that can give you the results you're looking for. So there are some people I'll be friendly with, I'll say hi, I'll accommodate and so, but I won't go on and offer any services because they can't buy. I am speaking with some of those persons now. I am visiting some of those homes, and I'm seeing circumstances that make me cringe, even where people live.
But we have always been told that one of the ways out of poverty, and I'm not suggesting that poverty is not a complex issue, because it deals with a lot of more social issues than what I'm going to ask. One of the ways we've been taught is through education. You can break the cycle of poverty to some degree. Not all of us may, but you can. In your constituency, do you see that as an area that is going to demand a lot of attention if you were to get in government?
Yes. Because I can say to you that the St. Patrick's East, the constituency I'm representing, when I look around, I don't see enough persons who have advanced to a stage where they probably have a bachelor's, a first degree at least. I don't see many people who are able to probably manage well, have the skills to manage any institution. And the few that exist, the very few that exist, they migrate to St. George's, because that's where they can probably find requisite employment that matches their skill set. Not many of these other persons are in the community. So even among my own group, and when I say my own group, my target group, I see a lot of people who are very willing and not so much as able as they are willing.
So let me bring another issue to you. One of the greatest issues we have in Grenada now is labor, right? Particularly in construction and other sectors, so agriculture. I want to talk about food security earlier. We can't get our people to work in the fields as we used to before. We have a lot of men who sit on the block and not interested. And if you bring them in a construction site and you insist they get there to start work at 8 o'clock and so on, they say you're slave driving. We see other companies now coming into the country, for example, our Chinese brothers and sisters, and they're taking over the industry. I think they have, quite honestly, and based on their work ethic and what they're doing and the contracts they're able to.
Because that's a strong word, takeover.
Yeah, in terms of the labor and
Yeah,
how
the
they handle
labor,
projects
yeah,
and
yeah,
efficiency.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's growing.
Our Grenadian the Grenadian people cannot work alongside them because of how they work.
They're a different kind of work ethics.
Yes.
Different work ethics.
And if we try to use the same work ethics as them, they will say that, boy, we are slave drivers, we're putting us back in slavery. Now the issue is, could we change that mentality through political programs or not?
Political programs can help, but you need to start with persons from the school. You need to actually go back to our education system, right? Most of our persons are taught, okay, you get an education, you go out there and you get a job. But we don't teach people how to think, we don't teach people commitment, we don't teach people the soft skills, right? So my answer is that we will not be able to do that in 4 or 5 years. But you need to have programs. Like, for example, the New National Party one time had a program, is it the Empower program? For persons who dropped out of school or didn't get to the level that they wanted to in school, but they only give them a second chance at life. My son went to a secondary school, but he wanted to do mechanics. He's always wanted to be a mechanic, which is what he does even now. And that program offered a certificate in mechanics at first entry level or so. So he got involved in the program, and they spent about the first 6 weeks teaching them life skills, communication, right, understanding, that sort of thing, right? How do you deal with conflict resolution? My son came home to me and he said, Daddy, you used to always say these things to me. You see, what I'm learning now is not new, but hearing it from somebody else has made a significant difference. You see, I'm learning so much because now it's actually validating what you used to always be saying to me. And he has been a changed child from going to that program. So my thing is, the school system, yes, but you need to have programs, even not necessarily just politically driven, but at least organized by the political directorate, so that you can put them through social programs or so, but at least you're giving them the opportunity to learn more than just you get 10 subjects in the 10 classes and
skills training as well.
Skill training.
I have a question for you coming from a viewer. You say, Robert, you're coming into politics. What problems do you think you can solve in your constituency that politicians before you could not?
That's a good question, right? Now, people involvement, people engagement, right? How do you get people to commit, to understand their role in the society and commit? Now, I believe before politicians have pretty much divided the populace. So if you're supporting me, then you're somebody who we should concentrate on. And if you don't, you're not somebody who we take on too much. Right? As a matter of fact, we hear it even now, and I make no apologies in saying, because we have heard it from the mouth of our Prime Minister. And if we don't know who you are, then that's probably why you're not getting. Meaning if you don't know who you are as a supporter. Now, I believe that we need...
He was making a joke, Robert. It was a bit of humor, that's all.
I didn't laugh. I didn't see anybody else laughing either. Right? So I believe the problem is getting people feel that they're part of the process.
Yeah.
The revolution did that well. Right? The revolution, persons felt that we were going somewhere, or everybody en masse. And in some ways, you didn't necessarily have to support the system, but you could have felt that there was a movement because there was inclusion. That is probably one of the things that we do not have now. I aim to address.
We have a suggestion came up on a program prior to this dealing with healthcare and primary healthcare, because we have a lot of health centers around. Forget the Polaris thing for the time being, because primary healthcare is right at the constituency levels where the health centers are. And one person had suggested that You know, when we have meetings in community centers, one of the subjects that must always be on the agenda is addressing health and our responsibility to take your own health into your own hands. So, for example, how you eat, what you do, and simple things. Are you in excess with drinking, not sleeping, not exercising? We suffer badly with non-communicable disease, diabetes and hypertension. How do we get the message across if we don't constantly engage our people on what we do as a person? Because your primary health is for you. If you starts with you, it gets to the hospital or the health center when you have ignored certain things. And then you have to get medicated through the system. So the question is Robert White going to adopt policies like that when he meets with his constituents? This is not about food security. This is about how we eat. And we've been talking years about grow what you eat and eat what you grow. But that has never materialized in real terms. We're still eating all kind of junk.
Yes. Yeah. But you see, the medium of education, right? We need to change, because if we've been telling people the same thing over the years, and it hasn't worked as well as it should, and we try something different. You ever saw that program Coconut Bay that was done by Heritage Theatre?
I think so. I think I see everything you all had.
Coconut Bay was a program that was funded by, I don't remember the name of the organization now, but we did 104 episodes. It was a 4-island program, right? Produced in Grenada. I was the producer.
Okay.
Right? Chris Derriggs was the writer. Dillian Walters was involved on the technical side and so. And the message in this was about teenage pregnancies and social ills and communicable diseases and so. But it was in a soap opera style.
Yeah.
We were trained by a guy named Kwame Njogo, Nigerian I think he was, who came and actually trained us for 6 weeks in the art of writing operas, radio serial, dramas, soap operas and so. And the message was interspersed into the story, so that the story hooked you, and you were getting the message without realizing that you're getting the message.
In a community theater.
Chris realized. Chris went to St. Vincent on some other activity and saw in a rum shop, happened to pass, but I don't know if it was a rum shop, but a shop. And he said the program aired around 6 o'clock on Tuesdays and 3 times a week, whatever the days were. And he said, so he saw people running into the shop to go to the radio. Yeah. And he trying to figure out what is this, and they say, boy, there's this program that called Coconut Bay, but I think good. And we have not sought to use other media to train
like
people
popular theater
to learn. Yeah. So here's, let me finish, Chris. So rather than every time you pull some people together, speak about your health, your health, your health, and men ain't getting the message because men don't even want to come there and hear talk to them. But men were following that radio serial drama because the story was entertaining, the story was interesting, and the education was being disseminated through that.
And I was just about to ask you if we can't use the same approach for gender-based violence.
Yes, we can.
Because we have not been reaching
yes, we can.
The people who are engaged in that, gender-based violence,
but you see,
as we ought to.
And I agree with you, and I'll go further with this, that we have offered that services, and I must say, even to the previous government and the current government. No, I'm not sure about the current government, the previous government. But you know, sometimes it seems as though it is felt that, oh, theater is just fun and laugh and things, and if you have a budget for 100,000, you can't spend more than that.
Very effective tool.
It's a very effective tool for training and disseminating information. Now, let me say this to you. Interestingly, we did surveys before the program because it was part of the requirement. You need to do the survey to see where people are at. And you do a survey at the end of it to see if there was any movement in a positive or any direction. Yeah. and you'll be amazed how many people were thinking different and connected with the issues and had pledged to be different based on what
Robert, one of the viewers asked a question, says they like you, but unfortunately you have the wrong color, the wrong party, and ask if you're willing to change so that they can really support you. They asked this question, but genuinely, Robert, there are several other parties in Grenada. What directed you to the New National Party? Why the New National Party for you to make your political contribution?
Okay, I'll make this point here. I have voted for the National Democratic Congress in the past. I have voted for the New National Party in the past. So this disclaimer, all right? I had not been any hardcore party supporter, okay? I placed my vote for persons where I saw it was fit at any point in time, and that has led me to vote for both of the major parties.
But what's changed? What's happening now?
Great. Now, what has changed is that the current government in office, I think they're arrogant.
That's a strong word.
Of course it is strong, because I feel strong about it. That they're arrogant, they have lost the people, or the direction. Now they have support. I'm not saying they don't have support, but they have lost the soft skills in terms of how you deal with people. They
communication in general.
And communication in general. And when you have, for example, the Prime Minister, and I have to keep mentioning the Prime Minister because he's the leader. And you take the lead from the head. The Prime Minister has openly said that information will be disseminated on a need-to-know basis. Right?
That's on record?
Of course it's on record.
Just asking.
Right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, if I've given you a job to do, Chris, if I had a business and I gave you the position of the managing director, I do expect it's my business. So I do expect you to say to me that, listen, I'm going to tell you how the account's going when I feel to. Right? So there's simple things like the weekly program that, the after cabinet, post-cabinet briefings. That was a practice of the former party. Now, I could accept that we're not going to do it exactly as it was done before. But I cannot accept you saying to me, I will give you information on a need-to-know basis. Right? That's one. Two, I have found that they're very intolerant to opposing views. Nobody else seems to know how to do anything except them, and if you don't believe or you don't share the same view, then you are ridiculed. And I cannot accept that style of leadership. I believe that they are weak on management.
Example?
Well, look at some of the programs that you mentioned happening even a while ago. The whole question of how the roadworks were managed, right? And they may say, okay, it was subcontracted. But if you are, again, as a management team, and the persons who are doing the work are not doing the way it was supposed to be done, executing the way within time frames and so, you as a leader should take responsibility. And I'm just saying that leader and the Prime Minister now, but I have given you the contract, right? And if there are debilitating conditions that prevent them from delivering at the time frame, communicate.
What credit do you give the government and for what? All can be bad, Robert.
And I agree with that. One of the things I feel good about is you see, and it may be simple but very, very effective and important as far as security. You see the lighting around the country, the solar lights around the country, brilliant. Brilliant, I say it twice. Why? Because there were some dark spots around the island that needed to be eliminated for people's own security. And secondly, I like the fact that it is solar.
But what about a major initiative like Project Polaris, major lands of purchase?
Transformative, anything transformative.
What about all the transformative
agenda?
Project Polaris is a great idea and concept, right? If you speak about the hospital or hospital services, yes, we do need improved hospital services. Whether Project Polaris in its current construct was the answer to providing those hospital services is a different question.
You don't know. We don't know.
Well, certainly not. But my thing is, even before we speak of a new hospital, one, there's a need to improve the current hospital service. I'm not saying maintain the hospital where it's at.
But we have one Sinai now helping them with that.
Right,
As
and
we
you
said.
had, now, for example, we have, in terms of hospital services, there's one a private hospital on island, and then there's the government. The government run 3 hospitals and a slew of medical centers and so on. We know there's a major disparity in cost between the services provided by the government and the private service. So, and I'm sure what is being offered or marketed as the Project Polaris option is going to be way more extensive in terms of services provided than the private hospital we have on island now. I'm of that view. Most Grenadians cannot fully afford the services at the current private hospital. And I'm not knocking their fees. Their fees might be well in alignment with the cost of operating. But the point is, it is outside of the reach of many.
But that's where you have the insurance, yes?
And that's where I'm going. So we have not heard, since this government came in, any major advancement of the idea of national health insurance, which I believe is a major stopgap between the services provided by the general hospital or the government and what other services we need with respect to where Project Polaris picked up. Because a lot of, in my view, a lot of Grenadians may not even be able to afford the cost of the services.
In Guelph. What is its functionality?
It's not really a hospital, Chris.
What it is?
It's a health
polyclinic.
Polyclinic.
So some of the services, it was intended to provide a stopgap between the medical center, the village or primary health medical center, and visits to the general hospital. Now, the point is, the former administration had intended to erect other similar type services around at designated point around the island. I think one was at Grenville, St. Davis might have had another one. And the intention was to take the load off the general hospital, because any little emergency, you need to go to the hospital.
So that polyclinic will offer things like maternity services, 24/7 doctors.
That's correct.
And so on and so
right?
forth.
And so that concept could have been developed. And I'm not saying it's an absolute, and I'm not saying that there's no need for a new hospital. I mean, we heard that the location, and the location of the hospital was something that was mentioned not as inadequate, not when this government came into office, a long time ago. So yes, there might have been a need for relocation of the hospital, there might have been need for extending the services and so on. But the question is,
something, sorry, I'll finish and then I'll shift
but the
to
question is Project Polaris, as marketed to us, the answer right now for improving our medical services? And I'm saying, I'm not sure.
Hold on, we have to, Chris, we have to take a short break. Viewers, stay with us, we'll be right back.
Is the air you're breathing really clean? At Allied Laboratories, we offer indoor air quality testing for commercial and residential spaces. Our rapid test results provide precise ratings of common air contaminants and will recommend the best actions to eliminate them effectively. Why do an indoor air quality test? Protect immunocompromised occupants. Detection of mold and bacteria. Identify volatile organic compounds. Identify particulate matter. Identify harmful pollutants that may otherwise go undetected. Enhances safety and comfort. Breathe easier and live healthier. Allied Laboratories, bringing quality laboratory services directly to you.
Grenada, are you ready for the most epic cool down after Spice Mass? Because on Wednesday, August 12th, the Grenada National Cricket Stadium becomes the home of one massive soca experience. Carnival Encore, Sunset Over White.
Are you ready?
Featuring not one, but two international soca giants, Marshall Montano and the Monk Band. Yes, the band. And they'll be joined by some of Grenada's biggest soca superstars for one unforgettable night of music, vibes, and pure island energy. This is the event that keeps the carnival spirit alive. The final celebration. The Encore. You don't want to miss. General admission and VIP early bird tickets are sold out online. General admission $150, VIP $550. Get your tickets now at GoToFed.com and the official Sunshine Promotions outlets. Carnival Encore 2026. Sunset over white. Wednesday, August 12th at the National Cricket Stadium. When the road ends, this is the Encore.
Introducing Tropical Catering Services.
The flavor of Grenada for all of life's moments.
From intimate gatherings to grand celebrations, we craft experiences you'll remember. Farm-to-table freshness, bold island flavors,
flawless presentation.
Full-service catering for every event.
Weddings, parties, corporate functions, and more.
Based in Grand Mall, St. George's, Grenada,
we bring island vibes to your venue.
Relish the moment. We handle the rest.
Tropical Catering Services.
Catering for all of life's events.
Mommy, I want to go in Uncle Tapri Kids Fix.
You wash the wares, you clean your room, you make up your bed?
Yes, Mommy. I don't ever want to miss Uncle Tapri Kids Fest, you know. It's a free go-kart rides, free face painting, free horseback riding, and all the favorite cartoon characters will be there.
Where are you?
Plus, Uncle Natty and Tonda, Uncle Kerry, Uncle Morty and Uncle Tara, Uncle Dash, Uncle Pippi and Uncle Jabki, Uncle Lava and Angelo, Uncle Khalifa and Happy Boy, plus Uncle Jello, and not forgetting my favorite Uncle Tapri. Saturday, July 18th, Montrouge, Plainfield, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Admission. Kids $10 and adults is $20. It's the biggest kids event in Grenada every year, so how I gonna miss that?
Child, behave yourself, eh?
Mommy, if you don't bring me in there, I don't know what I gonna do it.
Welcome back, viewers. We're here with Robert White. He is the appointed candidate for St. Patrick East. Robert, there was one of the viewers just gave some feedback here. They said, look, they don't believe that, or there isn't any evidence to show that communication from the government during the last administration was any different, any better than the present one, contrary to what you're saying.
Well, I don't share that view, right? There were post-cabinet briefings every Tuesday, right, where information was disseminated. I'm not suggesting that everything that was discussed in cabinet would have been told, but the information that persons need to know. And every week you got an update on things. There was social partners meetings every month, right?
So you disagree? Well, one of the things that St. Patrick's is usually referred to as the heritage parish. So the question is, how do you convert? What is your proposal to convert heritage into jobs? How's that going to happen?
We have the Caribs League, right? Nothing is happening there now. There was an attempt under the former administration. They actually built a nice like Carib village, sort of something, representative of our impression of how the Caribs lived.
But so those have the most history.
Right? So there's that, there's the slave
How you
pen.
convert it into jobs?
Right. So at the end of the day, what I think we need to do is to create some of those lands. For example, the slave pen in Hermitage is owned by private persons. I think one of the challenge was they're not prepared to release the land for development, right? But the Caribs League and other areas, there's the Carib Stone and so. What we can do is give some soft loans for development. So the development bank could serve as the source for the capital, right? Maybe some organizations, groups, or even an entrepreneur, but create the opportunity for them to get some cash at reasonable rates, so that they know is an incentive, one, to develop a project, and the government will say the project is developed, whoever is awarded the project gets funding to X, right? Outside of that, I don't know that much else can happen, especially if you're talking about the national and geographic sites and so on.
Well, let me just develop that a little. And you know, in St. Lucia, if you go to climb the Pitons, you have to pay. If you go to visit the areas where they have volcanic activity, you have to pay. Right? Why can't we as a country develop these sites and you have to pay?
Well, that was, when I made the point that the soft loans and so to develop it, I'm expecting that it's going to pay for itself over time by extracting a charge.
And an entrepreneur can take that and make it his business.
That's correct. No, the Carib Stone, there's so much that could be done there, right? I mean, the walk to the Carib Stones is breathtaking. But could you imagine when you get to that location, there's a restaurant of some sorts there, where you're now overlooking there's a Chinese development there, now Singaporean development, but the whole Bathway Ridge, that beach, you could stay there, and the breeze and everything that you get from there. But you could make a nice trek to get down there, right? And that is something I believe that can be very interesting. Now, I went to Jamaica, and I always remember that because the experience that I got from that trip, it is more than just a trip, but the experience, how I felt. That we went to do some zip lining, and it took us 3 different locations, right? All part of the whole trip. So there was a first, maybe for those who weaken the knees, and so it's probably just a 10 feet elevation, and you ride down on a zip line to the main area. Then you go up another, probably about 20 feet up, and this one is higher elevation. The last elevation is about 100 feet you ride it. Yes? But more than just you going to the platform, and the third elevation, there was a ride to go up there. And that ride was in one of the old school Toyota. The roof cut off, so even if rain coming, you're getting wet. Sun coming, you're getting burned. But it's part of the experience. The muffler was broken, so it's a certain noise, but something about it, and the way that the guy drove it, you remember the noise, you remember the every little creek, and so the road wasn't smooth neither, it's mountain roads. But when you get up to the 3rd elevation, there was one of those American school buses, yellow school buses, big long buses. Got it out, and in the middle of the forest, there's an air-conditioned gift shop. And you have to pass through it to get to the zip line. So you must buy something.
Right? Land use policies are a thing that have plaguing this government, plagued the last government. We don't seem to want to put a land use policy. And I bring this up on the context of, in your Sates area, we built this sea bricks in the, I don't know what you call the bay down there, where the sea brick is. And we have a beach, we have a nice beach now. Where there is this thing about it's causing sand erosion, breakwater breaching, and it's causing, because the breakwater is set there, the beach down by
down to Copeland Bay.
Copeland Bay. Montreal to Copeland Bay is being eroded significantly because of these breakwaters that have been set up. Is that something you have picked up among your people in discussing? And is it something that will have to be addressed properly? Because it seems to be a problem in the area. All kind of people talk all kind of things, but I don't know if it's evidential and if it's supported by evidence of why there is sand erosion or erosion of the beach down the road.
The initial project, which was done by the previous administration, had its limitations. And I firmly agree that the way it was done is now responsible for the erosion that took place down the road, right? Interestingly, the genesis of this was to prevent the buildings in Sauteurs, starting with Kenela building and Lower Sauteurs area, because the sea had gotten to a point where it was breaking at the back of these buildings.
That's true.
And there was at least one house that I know was significantly challenged because the water was going under the house and affecting the foundation. That was somewhere around by where Heavy D, where there's this Cariba, as you come from where that junction was there. So the breakwater project was something necessary. How it was done under the previous administration created a problem. Now, interestingly, my father, had the contact with the Zublin folks, and they are Dutch in origin, that company, and they were terribly disappointed with how that project was done, because they said they understood what was required and they know that it could have been done different and done well.
So the absence of a feasibility and so forth.
I am told that was part of the problem. There's no feasibility study and so, but it was a rush job to prevent a terrible situation, and we understand that. My expectation was any further development, whether it is from this administration or any other administration, would have taken into consideration the need to continue along where it is being done, but take an approach where, and I understand, I was speaking to Paul Philip, God rest his soul, he's dead now. He was an engineer of some sort, and he said all he needed to do was to ensure.
So I have to rush you on this because we're running out of time. So what you're saying, this is something that, assuming that you're the representative, there's something that you would address.
Certainly, because even what is happening now, I don't think it is an absolute fix in terms of the response. Now, and the government
I have to move, so let me just ask you the front, because that's important. What kind of representative would you be? How accessible would you be?
I live in Sotes, and I expect to be living in Sotes during my time in office. Now, I understand well, when you're in office, there are times when your time is a premium. But one, you need to have, I will be a representative that has a day, certainly, at least one day for the people to come to see me.
But you'll be shadow minister for culture.
Yes. So I'll be there. But in addition to that, you see, I cannot accept that you're a minister and people have to say they're not seeing you.
But we've heard this before. Many politicians become invisible after elections. Why should voters believe you'll be different? Robert?
Remember, I was among the people before I got into politics. I understand people before I got into politics. And I'm into politics because I understand people. If you have to represent people, you have to be among them.
Any closing remarks, Robert? We're out of time. What do you want to...
Well, of course, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to have this interview and this discussion. And I want to say to my people in St. Patrick that if you put your vote with Robert White, I would be with you. But I'm not only speaking to people from St. Patrick now, but I want to say to the nation that here's an opportunity to support a party that has over the years done extremely well for Grenada. And I believe we have put a team of persons together who collectively understand and have people at heart. And we certainly want to be the next party in government.
Thank you.
Chris, anything you want to say?
No, we didn't touch on the changes in the NNP and the youth. The young people that have chosen NNP to launch their political career and to move it along. And I think it speaks volumes to the party as one that have been seriously engaged the succession planning for the party ministers who were there before and now move on. So I think, Robert, we look forward to your representation if you do get a chance to represent St. Patrick's East and see how much of a difference you can make.
Thank you.
Byron?
It's our pleasure having you. I want to thank you again and continue. We'd want to see you again as things develop.
I am not opposed to coming back. Certainly hope that.
Would you like to debate Mr. Cornwall? Would you engage Mr. Cornwall in a debate?
Certainly will.
Viewers, that's all the time we have. We want to thank our technical team, MTV management. Viewers, we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.